guys, it's Stacy, back with another tutorial. If you scanned our QR code, that means you bought our DIY Boba Boba kit. If there's a boba shortage, this is the way to go, right? So let's go. We got the DIY kit here. Let's just open it up and see what we got. We have instructional cards. You get a nice little bag of black tea. You get a heaping 1 pound bag of brown sugar, tapioca starch. This is what boba is made of. On the box, very important step-by-step instruction guide. I'm gonna start with brewing the tea. I have my little tea bag here, and you're gonna notice that on the bottom, there's a little grid. So let's go over that grid. 1 teaspoon of tea leaves to 1 cup of water, steeping it at 4 minutes at 190 degrees. I have my trusty little tea strainer here. Measuring cup, it's gonna measure out 1 cup of water. I'm just gonna eyeball it. It doesn't have to be exact. You can put in 1 tablespoon, 1 teaspoon. It all depends on how strong you like your tea. So if you like your tea strong, put in more tea leaves. If you like your tea not so strong, put in less tea leaves. But the recommended amount, 1 teaspoon. Let's just put in about 1 teaspoon. And I went ahead of time and heated up some water. I know 190 degrees, that seems like a really specific temperature. It doesn't need to be exactly 190 degrees. It just needs to be hot enough, but not boiling to brew your tea. I'm gonna pour in 1 cup and into the tea strainer it goes. Cap it, leave that for 4 minutes. And now it's been 4 minutes. If you put more tea leaves in, it's gonna be darker. If you put less, it's gonna be lighter. And let it drain. There we have our tea. And now you wanna make sure this cools completely before you make your milk tea. I'm actually gonna go pop it in the fridge. That way I know for sure it is cooled down. And that's all for making tea. Step 2 is to make the brown sugar syrup. So as you see here, we gave you a pretty hefty bag of brown sugar. The recipe calls for a 1-to-1 ratio of brown sugar to water. So don't use this for your boba. We have another recipe for the boba after. This syrup is gonna be used for making milk tea. Since it's a 1-to-1 ratio, I'm actually gonna grab a 1/4 cup and I'm just gonna use the bag here to squish it down. So that's how you have 1 packed leveled 1/4 cup. Just gonna go ahead and put that in. Next is a 1-to-1 ratio of water. So if you guys did a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, you're gonna add in a 1/4 cup of water. If you guys did 1 cup of brown sugar, you're gonna add in 1 cup of water. Put that in there and into the container it goes. And here's a little tip, guys. If you plan on using this syrup later down the week, feel free to boil it. That way you know you're boiling away any impurities. However, if you just plan on using it for this one drink, this one time, you don't have to boil it. Make sure all the brown sugar is dissolved and you're good to go. We're gonna move on to step 3. This is the part that you've all been waiting for. If you skipped to this part, I don't blame you. I have my little instructional card here. Let's go over what you need. A 1/3 cup of water, a 1/3 cup of packed brown sugar, 1.5 cups of tapioca starch. Half a cup of that is actually gonna be used for dusting the cutting board, dusting your boba, just to make sure that nothing sticks together. Step 1, let's bring a 1/3 cup of water to a boil. And once it's boiling, we're gonna add in a 1/3 cup of packed brown sugar. Next, you're gonna lower the heat. So now that I have my brown sugar and my water boiling at a very, very low temperature, it's time to add in 1 cup of tapioca starch, but only add in half a cup at a time. And this is gonna make a mess everywhere, guys, so have fun cleaning up. So I have my cup here, and I'm gonna add in half of this cup to the mixture, and then we're gonna add in the last half after. All right, so we're gonna take the dough that you have here, dump everything out onto your cutting board. So again, it is going to be hot. Proceed with caution. Now's the part where we have to work fast. And I'm gonna put 3/4 of it away. So now I'm just gonna wrap this up. And the reason we're doing this is so that the dough stays fresh. You're gonna make 2 long rods or snakes. Right, now that we have 2 little snakes here, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my dough cutter and go ahead and cut 1/2-inch pieces from these snakes. After you have all that, start rolling them into little balls. And now that I have my little boba pieces lined up, I'm just gonna add a little bit more tapioca starch to this. Roll it all around so none of it sticks together, and let's start cooking. All right, so right here, you're going to boil your water. You're gonna dump in all of your boba and give it a really good stir for about 15 seconds. After that, put your lid on and set a timer for 30 minutes. Make sure to keep an eye on it, it does overflow easily. After your 30 minutes is up, turn the heat off, give it another stir, and put the lid back on. Set your timer for 25 minutes and wait. And once that timer goes off, you're gonna pour all of your boba out into a strainer. Give it a really good rinse with water, stir it around. After that, you can go ahead and put it in your bowl. It's time to sweeten it. So now that the boba has been cooked, it's been strained, it is now time to sweeten these beautiful balls. The brown sugar bath that the boba is gonna be sitting in is a 2-to-1 ratio. And I'm gonna get 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Remember guys, you want this packed. If you guys made the entire batch, follow the instructions on the card. Right now, I'm only putting in 2 tablespoons because I made a very tiny amount. But since I'm using 2 tablespoons of sugar here, I'm gonna use 1 tablespoon of water. So remember, it's a 2-to-1 ratio of brown sugar and water. Math. So I have 1 tablespoon. And I'm just gonna use this to stir everything together. So now that I have my boba sweetened here, we're going to now make the milk tea. So the first step, it says in a blender or shaker, or honestly just a big cup, go ahead and add in your desired amount of sweetener. Step 2, it says to add in 2 cups of ice. Again, it looks like a lot, but trust the process. And step 3, it says to pour in the brewed cooled down tea. So this calls for 2/3 cup of tea. So now that I have my 2/3 cup of brewed cooled down tea, you do not want to put hot tea in here. We're gonna go ahead and add in a 1/4 cup of milk. I recommend either whole milk or half and half. Those two are gonna give you the creamiest mouthfeel. If you don't have milk or you can't take in dairy, oat milk is one of the best alternatives, or just using non-dairy creamer. I have my milk here. I'm gonna go ahead and pour in a 1/4 cup. The step we're all waiting for, let's go ahead and add in the boba. Try to strain out some of that brown sugar syrup. You don't wanna be adding that in, otherwise your drink is gonna be extra sweet. And there you go, you made your very own boba, your very own milk tea. Now let's try it. All right. That's pretty good. Why am I laughing? That's pretty good in my book. So good luck guys. If you have any questions, feel free to email us, comment below, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Wait, is this still recording? I'm just gonna take your drink. Oh. All right, see you guys next time.